You're watching the News Press Now Sports Special, Run It Back. Sponsored by Mosaic Life Care.
Well, hello, St. Joseph, and thank you for joining us for this News Press Now special broadcast, Run It Back. I'm Jacob Michael.
And I'm Riley Funk. It's been a long road since training camp at Missouri Western, but we're here to recap the Chiefs' season as they prepare for Super Bowl 58.
That's right, and Riley and I think that's a great place to start. And Riley, let's talk about this team. Did you expect this team to be in the Super Bowl this year, given everything that's happened?
Yeah, Jake, I really did expect the Chiefs to kind of be back in this position. We talked in the preseason and leading up to training camp, there's a lot of good new players, a lot of young rookies, and they had to fill some spots. But, you know, through every struggle, through dropped passes and everything like that, that's the middle of the season. You kind of expect that the Chiefs, with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, to end up in the Super Bowl. You just had to believe it, even though every season has its struggles.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the young players. I mean, when you're a dynasty and you're building the way that you're building this team, the way Brett Veach has and that whole front office staff, I think you're going to have to find young players that are going to have to step in because with the way the salary cap works, there's a lot of guys taking up a good chunk of that. And so what do you fill in with? You fill in with young guys that aren't making as much, but you know can play in big spots if they need to. It's been a ride, obviously, watching this team, but I think it's not too surprising that they're here.
You come to expect it, though, with a coach like Andy Reid, but, you know, what was really good about this team, Jake, is the defense, and we've talked about that all year. You know, you have L'Jarius Sneed and players like Trent McDuffie, but, you know, Charles Omenihu gets hurt, and now they find themselves in a spot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a tough blow. I mean, Omenihu was expected to come in here and be put in different positions on the defensive front to mix things up and open things up for guys like Chris Jones, who it's been different watching him and seeing the way things started, where he's sitting in the stands week one as, you know, they're taking a loss to the Lions. And then he comes back and he ends up getting his incentive money that he got in the new contract that was restructured and ends up playing a big role like many thought he would. But Omenihu's a big blow. We do know that, of course, Willie Gay Jr., from what we know right now ahead of the game, that he's expected to play in the Super Bowl, which is huge. He didn't play in the AFC Championship. Joe Thuney, I know he's on the offensive line. Not sure if he's going to play or not. He's obviously going to try, but that's going to be a big blow up front, especially with that 49ers defensive front.
Who do you think the biggest defensive addition has been this year for the Chiefs? Because we talked Chris Jones. He got that big contract restructuring. He's been huge, but there's been other players that have stepped up as well.
Yeah, I think Drue Tranquill is the no-brainer answer to that, because in certain spots he's had to fill in for guys like Nick Bolton and Willie Gay Jr. And he's a veteran guy that is very cerebral. Steve Spagnuolo talks very highly of him as a guy that you can just plug and play, and Drue Tranquill has bought into the idea of just winning football games and doing what's needed to be done in order to get the win. He plays well in the run game. He plays well in the pass coverage game. He has been a huge addition as a guy who just seemed kind of like a ho-hum off-season addition, but he's a guy that has had to step up when guys have gone down. So, yeah, a lot of things to be excited about. One big question for the offensive side of the ball, Matt Nagy. He obviously filled in for Eric Bieniemy when Eric Bieniemy went to Washington. Has Matt Nagy successfully filled the shoes of Eric Bieniemy to this point?
He's been successful, but he's going to have to make another jump. Obviously, Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator who called the Wasp play in their first Super Bowl win, and, you know, all those points that you score last year, it's all zeros when you start this game. I think, obviously, you need to have players make the plays. Obviously, Nagy's calling the plays, but you can't drop the ball. You know, during the regular season, you had Marquez Valdes-Scantling drop some huge passes. Kadarius Toney dropped some huge passes, but you go into the playoffs and big catches from Travis Kelce. Marquez Valdes-Scantling steals the game in Baltimore. It's two different things. Yeah. You have Nagy, the play caller, but it needs to be executed by great players. And obviously, I would say the greatest player of this playoff run, obviously, Patrick Mahomes. But this time, Jake, doing it on the road instead of at Arrowhead. They always used to call it the Arrowhead Invitational, but he has to go on the road. How would you bookmark this edition of Mahomes' career from other years?
Yeah, it just adds to his legendary status in such a short amount of time with what he already accomplished. And then you add this part of it. I've watched a lot of Patrick Mahomes over the years, and I always felt that he was a better player on the road. I feel like he just always steps it up a notch. And he told Nate Burleson last year after the Super Bowl when they won he was asked, would you rather be the hero at home or would you rather be the villain on the road? He said he'd rather be the villain. So I knew this was going to be an okay position for him to be in if he had to go on the road eventually. We knew it was going to happen at some point. You know, you're not always going to have the best of years where you lock up that number 1 seed and you get home field advantage all throughout. I figured he'd be totally comfortable, and it doesn't surprise me. No interceptions to this point on the road in the playoffs. Everything seems to be working and clicking the right way, and it all starts with number 15.
Well, and you know what Andy Reid and Mahomes always say: when the grim is grim, be the grim reaper.
That's
so
right.
that's what he's been doing all year. Well, when Run It Back returns, the Chiefs made a statement on the road during the playoffs, but what about their opponent? We'll break down the 49ers' return to the big game.
Plus, St. Joseph gets a unique perspective on the Kansas City Chiefs through training camp. We'll take a trip out to Missouri Western to see how camp impacts the players.
You're watching the News Press Now Sports Special. Run It Back, sponsored by Mosaic Life Care. You're watching the News Press Now Sports Special. Run It Back, sponsored by Mosaic Life Care.
One thing the Chiefs have in common with the 49ers is superior play from their tight ends.
That's right. News Press Now's Kyle Schmidt joins us with an in-depth look at how George Kittle and Travis Kelce had made their presence known on the field.
Thank you, guys. We're going to start off with the 49ers tight end of things, George Kittle. Now, this is a guy that can do a lot after the catch, but what we're going to focus on is what he does in the trenches. His team is a run-first offense for the most part. They pass the ball 52% of the time, but especially when they're in the down and distance, especially second and goal, they're going to get it to Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in the league. So right here, we have a second and goal. 49ers are down 14-0. They need something to work. George Kittle's right here, 6 D linemen, 6 O linemen, working together, hat on a hat. The one-on-one matchup we're focusing on is George Kittle on Aiden Hutchinson, the Lions defensive end. They love this guy. He makes big plays for them, but not in this game. We're going to run the clip. Kittle's going to box out Hutchinson. He's going to be eliminated from the play right from the start. When we bring it back, McCaffrey, right when he gets the handoff, Hutchinson's already out of the play. He's turned around. Look at the shoulder drive. The shoulders are below the pad level of Kittle's, way better than Hutchinson. Hutchinson's going to be kicked out, and this whole big gap is going to be able to open up for McCaffrey. He's not going to get touched until the goal line. By that point, it's too late. Next play, jet sweep. We'll have Deebo Samuels down here. They love implementing him into the run offense. He's going to jet sweep across. Brock Purdy's going to hand it off. Kittle's job, top of the screen. He's going to work on a double team with Trent Williams on the edge. Once the edge is sealed, Kittle's job is to get up the field, find the closest guy, head on a swivel, and clear out the way for Deebo Samuels to let it play out. And you're going to see seal the edge. Now find the next guy. That's Cameron Sutton. Forced out, bullied out of the play, and he's not making it back. We're going to bring it back to right when Deebo gets to that edge. Look at Kittle, head on a swivel. He's looking for his next target. And he's going to find Cam Sutton all the way up here as we let this play out. He's going to drive him out of bounds. Not going to have a chance. Deebo first down 49ers. And we can get to this next one again. Goal line situation. Jumbo package in, 23 personnel. What does that mean? 2 running backs, 3 tight ends. Strength to the double tight end side. That's Kittle and his other tight end over here. It's going to be a power run. You know where they're going. They're telling you where they're going. You just got to stop them. And it's going to be real hard to stop them when they have a guy like George Kittle blocking down on your best defender in Aiden Hutchinson. He gets his shoulder across the body of Hutchinson, drives him to the goal line, and McCaffrey's going to get into the end zone safely and easily as we let this play out. You have a pulling guard on the left side, get to the linebacker level. McCaffrey gets in untouched again. We're going to bring it back a little bit. George Kittle, he's going to end up being on the ground by the end of this one, but it's with good reason. See this line? The line that's facing the wrong way, that's Aiden Hutchinson. That's a Pro Bowler, 2nd overall pick. It's because of Kittle's hip drive all the way out. We let this go. McCaffrey in the end zone. Hutchinson doesn't know where the running back is, doesn't know where the play is, and it's a tie ball game. And that you've probably already seen on Twitter, and that's him getting his free pancakes on Aiden Hutchinson right there. That's a mean man. If you hear Kittle laughing in your face, you know you did something wrong, and that's what he was doing right there. And the big thing is Aiden Hutchinson, 11.5 sacks this year, 50-some tackles. He had 0 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss eliminated from the game. Now we're going to move on to Kelce. Travis Kelce, fan favorite here in Chiefs Kingdom. 4th and 2, huge play of the game. It might not seem like it seems early, but points were hard to come by in this game. Chiefs only won it 17-10, and all those points came in the first quarter. Because of this drive, 4th and 2, you're going to have a quick 2 out to the flat. You're going to have another 5 out. Mahomes is shifting right, looking at these 2 receivers. Kelce's at the top. All he's doing is doing a backside slant, and he's just running with his quarterback. He never gets this ball. You can run this play all season. You're never going to see him make this play. But right here, when it matters most, in the postseason, we let this run out. Mahomes looking around. You'll have a jet motion from Rice. He shifts out right. Perfect throw, perfect catch, full extension. That's not easy to do. Both players were covered. Mahomes had to snap his eyes back. And Kelce, look at this extension. Perfect defense. He's in phase, has his hands on, looking back at the quarterback. Whew. Not a lot of players are making that play in this league. And then we'll get to the next play. Same drive. This play is all for Kelce. It's a deep fade. He's just going to run right at the linebacker or strong safety in this clip. And that's Kyle Hamilton. First league All-Pro, Pro Bowler, best strong safety in the league. He's going to run right at him, do a deep fade out. Mahomes is looking at him the whole way. He's going to fake left, then throw it right back to Kelce as we let this play out. Not many players are making this play, let alone tight ends making this play in the National Football League. Mahomes finds him, back hip, perfect throw. Great catch, great adjustment. And the adjustment is hard. You're running full speed. These guys are 250 pounds. Running full speed, last second, turning your body, and even later, putting the hands out. Look at this coverage. It's perfect. Hands on, in phase, looking back at the quarterback. Ball is coming in right now. Kelce's still not showing that the ball is here until last second. Again, no one else is making these plays in this league. And Travis Kelce in this game did something that nobody thought would ever happen. That's pass Jerry Rice in the record books. That should not happen. And he did in the receptions in the postseason because these two are special. And this shows it again. Ravens are in perfect defense here. This is nickel cover 3 in a second and medium situation. There's 40 seconds left in the half. Chiefs need to get a field goal. Points are hard to come by in this game. So what we got? Van Noy, flat. You got Quinn, hook curl. This is the nickelback who blitzes late. So then you have corner, deep third. Hamilton's rocking down, getting this zone right here in the curl flat. Hook curl. Then you have deep third, and there's another cornerback or another safety that has the deep middle third. Everything should be covered. Kelce just running a deep corner. He's right here in the trips formation. We're going to let it run out. 43 seconds left. Kelce slowly looking for the zone, finds the soft spot, and makes it. We're going to wind it back just a little bit. Right when Kelce makes the catch, you're going to see. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders. None of them were near Kelce to make the play on him because he finds the soft spot. That's what he does better than anybody in the league, especially when it comes into the postseason. We can let this play out. You're going to see a back angle now. When you watch, Kelce slows down his route, finds the soft spot, and turns for the football. Mahomes and him, it's a different kind of connection. It's the best connection in the league right now. It's why they are going back to the Super Bowl. It's why they're going to try and be back-to-back for the first time since 03-04. And it's why everyone loves the Kelce-Mahomes matchup in Kansas City. You have Kelce, you have George Kittle. One shows up on the stat sheet, one shows up in the trenches. You don't want to meet either of them on the field, and they're both going to be on there on Sunday's matchup.
Coming up on Run It Back, we're headed out to Missouri Western State University to see how training camp offers a unique opportunity for players and fans.
Welcome back. The Kansas City Chiefs are yearly visitors to the campus here at Missouri Western State University.
And Chief Meteorologist Jared Shelton joins us to talk about how weather has impacted the 2023 season.
Fans and players of the Kansas City Chiefs are no stranger to tough game day weather, and this season was no exception. The first challenge came in the form of stifling heat right here in St. Joseph, as Chiefs training camp kicked off with a wave of 90-plus degree temperatures and triple-digit heat indices through the final days of July.
The Chiefs' battle with excessive heat continued back home through much of the early season. Taking a look at a few stats for the Kansas City area through the months of August and September, 29 days in total were well above average in terms of that temperature. 16 of those days, the temperature reached above 90 degrees, not to mention countless periods of triple-digit heat indices scattered throughout those 2 months. And that likely proved to help them out a bit when they faced off the Jacksonville Jaguars on September 17th there in Northeast Florida, where conditions were absolutely stifling. A temperature at kickoff was 90 degrees, but combined with humidity of around 85%, that brought heat indices well into the triple digits, with a heat index at kickoff of 108 degrees.
According to local officials, heat-related illness left 36 spectators hospitalized through the course of the game, yet the Chiefs still pulled a win over the Jaguars, standing up to the Florida Heat. Months later, another Florida team faced the Kansas City Chiefs in the 4th coldest game in NFL history.
Conditions at Arrowhead Stadium were nothing short of frigid during the Chiefs' matchup with the Miami Dolphins on January 13th. That evening, the temperature started with -4 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds were out of the northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, bringing a wind chill value of 27 degrees below zero. And these conditions only grew colder as the game progressed.
Once again, the Chiefs came out on top, despite temperatures frigid enough to freeze mustaches, compromise headgear, and set a record for the coldest game ever played at Arrowhead Stadium. For News Press Now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jared Shelton.
Well, we mentioned that we're out at Missouri Western State University because this is where the Chiefs have spent their summers for roughly the past decade. And This is where pretty much their season starts, when things really start to ramp up, is here on this campus. And it's a very unique opportunity for a lot of people who may not get an up-close and personal look at some of these players as they get ready for their season and get a look at what kind of work it takes day in and day out through the summer. And we know that these summers can be pretty rough out here.
They can, and hot too. Let's not forget that. But to your point about just people that maybe don't see the Chiefs up close like that, even my family comes down once a summer, not only to see me, but to see the Chiefs. You know, how many times do you get to see Patrick Mahomes that close? And just being out here every day in the summer, me and you, just seeing all the fans on the side and the players actually come up and talk to them and interact with them, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, and of course we want to mention that they do get one more summer here on campus for their training camp. We'll see if they re-up that contract with the university after this next summer. So let's talk about the work that this team puts in every single summer to get ready for the season. Obviously, being here when you're one of the teams that does get away from your facility to do training camp. Most teams don't do this, but they have done this summer in, summer out, and it's part of the formula as to why they've had so much success. Why do you think it works so well for these guys when they're here getting ready for the season?
Well, in my eyes, one, and this has been talked about through with coaches at press conferences and whatnot, but just the fact that they're together in a dorm. I mean, I've been to college, you've been to college, we've had to stay in dorms, we've had to be close with our roommates, and that just leads to long-lasting friendships. You learn a little bit about each other. That plays a lot when it comes to team chemistry, especially this season when we saw some frustrations offensively. Just the fact that they had that time here at training camp to kind of learn about each other and how to pick each other up instead of bring each other down. It's really huge when it comes to team chemistry aspect. Of course, they're still learning plays, they're getting all that, but I really think one of the big points that they hit here is team chemistry when it comes to training camp.
Yeah, and I think when, throughout the regular season, when you're back at your facility, you're not hanging around some of those guys. If you're an offensive player, you're not really hanging out a lot with those defensive players outside of the facility, and this is the perfect opportunity for those guys to do that. Like, I was able to ask Patrick Mahomes last year at the Super Bowl, why that was so important. These guys go to Chick-fil-A together. They go get food. They go to all these different places that they wouldn't normally get to do throughout the season. So what better time to do that than when you're here? You're an hour away from your families, but this is the place where, this team chemistry really is built here. And then when the times get tough during the regular season, or even in the playoffs, you think about how much, being here made a big difference, and was able to, use that to, I guess, part of the formula. And I think it works well.
I do. And I think, too, what we haven't really mentioned is, head coach Andy Reid always praises St. Joe and Missouri Western. I've never heard a player talk badly about being here or their time here. Of course, they'll joke like, stayed at a dorm compared to maybe some of their bigger houses that they like to stay in, but they love it here. And that's what's important, and the community loves having them here. It's just a good time for everyone.
Yeah, if you're a rookie coming into this and you've never experienced an Andy Reid training camp, well, what better time to experience it than just the first year and get it out of the way?
Get it out of the way.
It can be rough.
It can be.
It can be. And these guys, they put in some real hours here, and we only see what they put in as far as on the practice field, which is just off to our right over here. But it's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of getting together with guys and figuring out, what works best for, their skill positions and things like that, as they try to kind of get into those nitty-gritty details of what's going to work when the regular season comes around, when these games start to count. And they spend, one preseason game while they're here, and then they get ready for that second, third one back in Kansas City. So
yeah, and just a point I want to harp on one more time that you brought up earlier is the fact that, in case people didn't know, not every team does this. Not every team gets away from their facilities for training camp. The Chiefs are just a handful of teams that actually do get away. So the fact that they do that, it's really a testament to how it works. So you've seen their success lately, and so it's just huge.
We, of course, get the privilege of getting to cover them, every single morning whenever they're here, and getting to talk with the players and get inside their heads as they get ready for a very important year, and knowing that they're going to be, in that Super Bowl conversation every single year.
As long as you have Patrick Mahomes, you should be.
It seems to be the formula, and that it seems to work out for them every single year.
Coming up on Run It Back, Jake and I will make our final predictions on which team will walk away as Super Bowl champions.
You're watching the News Press Now Sports Special. Run It Back, sponsored by Mosaic Life Care.
Welcome back. Before we wrap things up on Run It Back, there's one question that remains, and maybe the biggest question of them all. Riley, who do you think is going to win Super Bowl 58 on Sunday?
Well, it's going to be whoever holds the ball the longest, because you're going to have more opportunities to score. Both of these offenses score in different ways. I think whoever scores first wins the game. It's going to set the tone. The Chiefs are going to win this game, and I don't think it's going to be as close as a lot of people are predicting. I'm predicting a 31-17 victory for the Chiefs. That's just my opinion. Jake, what about you?
It's hard to count out what the 49ers have done and what they've been this whole season. They have so many playmakers. There's a lot of things working in their favor, right? You have guys that were on that team whenever they played against the Chiefs about 4 years ago, whenever they played in Super Bowl 54. And so there's that thought in the back of their mind that says, we really want to get this team this time. We want to get that revenge on that team that beat us and took that 10-point lead from us away when it seemed like they were going to run away with it. You mentioned time of possession. It's going to come down to turnovers. If the Chiefs don't turn the ball over, I like their chances. I'm going to lean Chiefs in a little bit closer battle. I'm going to say 24-20 Chiefs, but it's hard to count out the 49ers. And they're favored in this situation. They are considered the better team. But then when you hear that, it's hard to say, underdog Chiefs, and that that's how it's gonna be. They've been underdogs in the last two games.
Bulletin board material, Jake, and that would play to your advantage for sure,
yeah.
And both of our picks.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we thank those of you for joining us on this News Press Now special coverage of Super Bowl 58.
Be sure to tune in to CBS 30 KCJO to catch the big game.
And to catch up on all our Chiefs coverage, visit our website at newspressnow.com.